from the past and the nonsense. Tired of toxic games, not an option. Made it up from the mud, I'ma find this.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If y'all are new here, I'm Thomas Mosler of That H2, and yes, I'm a little stuffy today. As y'all can tell, we got a little bit of snow over the past couple of days. My truck is just absolutely covered in salt. Y'all see all of that? That's all salt. So we're gonna rinse the truck off real quick, and then I'm gonna stick it in the garage because it's cold, and I'm not a fan, to say the least. I like the heat, I like the summertime. So we're gonna get this truck rinsed off real quick, get it put in the garage, and then I'm gonna show y'all how to replace your lower ball joint on your IFS truck. This is clearly a 2003 Hummer H2, and yes, it is 4-wheel drive. But I'll show y'all how to get apart all of this mess just to replace that little ball joint there in the bottom. So I'm gonna stop rambling on. Let me rinse this off and I'll see y'all in the garage. Very steep. Camera ain't doing justice. Putting this thing to work. So as y'all can see, I went ahead and jacked the truck up, and of course what you do before that is go ahead and break your lug nuts loose. I'm not going to bore y'all with the straightforward stuff. And then after you get the truck jacked up and your lug nuts loose, go ahead and pull your lug nuts all off, which we'll just jump right into it. So after you get all your lug nuts off, put them in a place where you're not going to lose them. Slide your wheel and tire off. What is that? Oh, there we go. And typically what I like to do, if your truck's not too tall, is get jack stands and put them underneath there. But the jack stands that I have at my parents' house are not quite tall enough for the truck. So I went ahead and slid 2 cinder blocks right here, and I threw a secondary jack underneath the truck. So if one jack fails, there's a second jack holding it up, and if both jacks fail, it's gonna fall and hit these cinder blocks and won't fall on me completely. So the next thing you wanna do is go ahead, unbolt your CV axle, your tie rod end, your upper control arm bolt, your lower control arm bolt, or your upper and lower ball joint bolts. Disconnect your brake line, that way it's not tighten down, and when everything's free, there's going to be no stress on it. Or I guess this is your brake line. And then your ABS line, there's a plug up in the truck where you can fully pull that apart. So when you pull the whole hub assembly off, it'll be good to go. So let's just jump right into it.
So I switch spots. Never running out of fuel, so fuck a pit stop. I've been ballin' since a youngin', so I take shots. She just wanna fuck me cause she know I get guac. I hit the jackpot, and you a mascot. I want big rocks on my wristwatch. I know why they ain't know me, so I switch spots. Never running out of fuel, so fuck a pit stop. Hold the wrist.
So as y'all just saw in that little time lapse, I went ahead and completely disconnected my ABS line. There's one clip in this little bracket on the top of the knuckle, one little clip right here on this upper shock mount, and then the plug, which is right behind the upper shock mount bolt. And on my truck, it's just like one of those little Christmas trees, and just sticks into place. Pretty simple. And the point of this is so I can set my whole hub assembly on the ground and not break the line or put too much stress on it. Went ahead and disconnected the 2 brackets that hold the actual brake line in place. One's right here on the top of my knuckle on my truck, and then the other's on the upper control arm. And then I also disconnected the difficult stuff, if you want to call it that. So the CV axle nut, the upper ball joint nut, the tie rod end nut. As you can see, the upper is right there. Then of course the lower ball joint nut. The next step is going ahead and popping the upper and the tie rod free. That way your whole hub assembly is you know, pretty much free. You can move it around, pop your CV axle out, and then disconnect that lower ball joint. Then you'll be able to set the whole hub assembly on the ground. If y'all ever need a breaker bar, the end of the jack, the handle, is a very good tool. It has helped me out in a lot of situations. I use this to break my lug nuts loose. I don't know if y'all saw the time lapse, but I used it to break a couple of these bolts loose. It just gives you a lot more leverage and makes life a little bit easier on you. So what I'm going to do right here is stick it on top of the knuckle, go to the bottom of the upper control arm, and I'm just going to pry on it a little bit. And as y'all can see, it's popping loose. Now I can probably hit it with the mallet and get it to pop out. This is going to drop on me a little bit. So when you're doing this, just be careful. Keep your feet clear, keep your fingers clear. The last thing you want to do is hurt yourself while working on your vehicle. It's getting there. As y'all can see right there, it's free. Go ahead and pop it up and out of the way. Let me see if I can adjust this jack stand. That's a decent spot. Just tighten this down a little bit. Hold it right in place. And as y'all can see right there, the tie rod just popped free on its own. So actually, if I twist it a little bit, as y'all can see right there, popped right on out. That boot doesn't look good, but as y'all can see, this is actually pretty tight. So that's nothing to worry about right now. I did these last year as well. Running wide wheels and big tires puts a lot of wear on these trucks, to say the least. And so what I can do now is go ahead and put this jack stand a little bit higher up. It's going to want to fall on me after I do this, but you know, this is a good safety to have. Right there is probably a good spot. So what I'm going to do is, this whole hub assembly is essentially free. And if these ratchet straps were not here, it would just want to drop on me. So I'm going to slowly, you know, put some tension on it. Slowly drop these ratchet straps, just to take the stress off of it. So you can see right there, it's free. Slid right on down on that jack stand. Go ahead and pop this one. Not all the way free, but you know, just enough to put some slack on it. And if you have two people, for some of these things, it can be very nice. My buddy Bryant is actually on the way right now. You shout out to him. He and my buddy John, camera's moving again. It's windy out today. It is cold, as y'all saw in the beginning of the video. My buddy John and Bryant, huge shout out to them. They came over and helped last time. Steven and Nick came over and hung out for a little bit as well. But having a couple people working on a truck at once is it's easier than by yourself, to say the least. And I'm not afraid to admit that either. Yes, I could get this done by myself, but having help it's kind of nice. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and lift up on this right here. I don't know if you can see. It's weird trying to stop moving on me. Stay still, stay still. There we go. It's kind of weird working on a truck and filming. So I went ahead and grabbed a steel bar, or it's a handle to a fork, which we will be using to pop that lower ball joint free. But the tip of it is pointed. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up or not, but you have a little groove in the end of your CV axle. And so what you can do is, that point will sit in there nicely. It'll keep it centered. And since we're beating on this, you can take a actual mallet and really bit on it. I'm going to have to play around a little bit. What you need to do is just, you know, move your hub assembly around, try to find the best spot where there's the least amount of tension on that axle, and you can hit it and it'll pop right on free. So I'll catch up with y'all right after I get this popped out. That'll hold the front of it up. And then I have this sitting back here on the back, so hopefully when it falls it'll catch. We're about to see, but what you want to do is you want to take your pickle fork, you know, you want to find your groove right in there. It's kind of difficult sometimes. We'll get it to pop free. The other side took us about 15-20 minutes. You gotta put, you know, some tension behind it, maybe on the upper side. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find a groove, get it in there, and then once you get it in there, you can pry it a little bit, hit it down, and just use your leverage, and it should pop free. It is very compressed. I do have a couple other tools that I may try out, but I'll get with y'all in a minute once I you know, figure out exactly what I'm gonna do and the best way to pull this apart. So William came down here, and I think I showed you on the clip before, we set the jack stands underneath the hub, and what I ended up doing was running the strap from that same part of the frame to the top of the knuckle, and the pickle fork did work. We hit it in there pretty hard. He lifted up on the whole hub assembly just a little bit. I was able to pop it in there, popped it free, and the jack stands did their job. It caught the whole hub assembly, lifted up on the, you know, the hub and the knuckle itself. He pulled the jack stands out and we were able to set it on the ground. So the next thing is we're gonna go get the tool to decompress this ball joint, and then everything we just did, we're gonna do in reverse and put it back together. It's pretty straightforward. It is nice having a second person. I will be real honest, like I said before. I'm gonna stop rambling on, let's get back to work. So as y'all can see, we got the tool set up. So how you use it, it's a press. So you find a ring like this that fits around the lower part of your ball joint that will sit around the ball joint, like I said, on your lower control arm. And then there's a couple of pieces, kind of like this. The one that's in there has a hole in it where the screw or the threads stick down through it. And then you go ahead and take the screw, you run it down, and then I'm just doing it with manpower, just trying to decompress it by hand. Because first off, I let my eardrums a little bit. And I have nothing against impacts, but this gets the job done. And as you can see, just like that, the lower ball joint is out. Light work, baby. Let me cut the camera, let me get this tool set up, then we'll go ahead and grab the new ball joint, get it in there, and do what we did, just in the reverse pattern.
I had to get the bag, ice on my wrist, diamonds move a lag. Never switching position, that's what money be in my bag. Gotta thank God for all the shit that I got, I never had. Now that I'm in it, I got a ball, roll to the wrist, and downs on froze. She wanna fuck, vamonos, taking it down, dominoes. Then kick it out, adios. Stacking the bread, loud the door, hold the wrist though. Don't know where the switch though. Got my bands off, think I need a brain stroke. We keep it lit, I can't let these niggas miss us. Talking crazy, think you might get stitched up. I know why they hating on me, so I switch spots. Never running out of fuel, so fuck a pit stop. I've been ballin' since a youngin', so I take shots. She just wanna fuck me cause she know I get guac. I hit the jackpot, and you a mascot. I want big rocks on my wristwatch. I know why they hating on me, so I switch spots.
So I know that was a pretty quick time lapse, but with two people, it is very easy. Shout out to my boy Bryant. His Instagram is right here on the screen. And of course in the description is, wow, I can't talk. In the description below as well, as always. We went ahead, got the tie rod started, got the CV axle through and started. Lower ball joint. The order I like to do it in, I don't know if y'all could really tell in the time lapse, but I go lower ball joint, line up the CV axle. You got to play around with it a little bit. Go ahead and get that nut on there. Tie rod, upper control arm. Pretty easy. So we're going to go ahead and start tightening these down. We're going to go ahead and hook up the ABS line, hook up the brake line brackets, and then once we get everything back together and tightened, we'll go ahead and grease everything, throw the wheel tire on, and ride on out. That's what she said. Like I said, line that nipple up with the groove. It makes life easy. We're pumping grease in it right now. Everything else is buttoned up. Ball joints are all hooked up. Tie rod. We got the cotter pins in there. All we have left is the zip tie, the ABS line to the upper, and then we'll throw the tire on and ride out. Ryan and I are just in here jamming the music, just hanging out, just vibing. Snapchat's blowing up because John said he was gonna come over and help, but to be honest, we engine swapped this truck in this exact spot, when, about 7 months ago. I've never engine swapped a truck in my life. Bryant has never done an LS engine swap. Our buddy Jared, I think he had engine swapped a couple of trucks. But none of us had really a whole lot of experience, especially me being my truck, never done it in my life. We stuck the truck in the garage and we just kind of figured it out. It really goes to show, if you really put your mind to it and if you're willing to, you know, learn a couple new things, it can get done. But that's gonna do it for this video, guys. We're gonna throw the tire on it real quick. I'm not gonna show y'all how to do that. It's pretty straightforward. But I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I hope this was kind of an informational video for y'all. I hope it helped some of y'all out at least. But I appreciate the support. We're gonna be doing videos every single day for the next 7 days. Hunting trip this weekend, new exhaust going on the truck. Got a couple other small ideas planned, but I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.